First, I want to go to the NFL, and it appears that the Eagles and Jalen Hurts may be heading towards a make-or-break season. In a brand-new article posted on ESPN.com this morning, our reporters Tim McManus and Jeremy Fowler detail many of the issues between Hurts and the franchise. At the center of it all, the Eagles' passing attack, which struggled last season, leading to internal frustrations, most notably from wide receiver A.J. Brown. Sources say Hurts has pushed back on changes that would diversify the offense and goes off script from the game plan at times. One source describes Hurts as not always coachable, and his teammates are starting to notice. We want to welcome in Jeremy Fowler and our NFL group with us. But first, Fowler, I want to start with you. Incredible job reporting here. What did you come away with about what's going on in Philly with the quarterback and the team?
Well, Matt, I came away with the notion that Jalen Hurts, despite immense success, is facing some frustrations now within his own building. Mainly, sources point to an issue with coachability, that even in 2024, when they won the Super Bowl, coaches trying to implement new schemes, motions and shifts, maybe more things under center. Hurts has pushed back to those at times. They feel like changes within the huddle to play calls have been excessive at times, even giving signals to receivers with hand signals to change a play that weren't installed in the offense. So those are things that have just sort of come to a head despite all the winning that they've done. Yeah. The passing attack has not diversified in recent years. And now you have another coaching change with offensive coordinator Sean Mannion coming in. It's a situation where there's a moving train that Jalen Hurts now has to get on.
Again, article on ESPN.com, and Fowler, I want to follow up if I may, because the reporting happened, the story dropped today. How long has this discrepancy between the quarterback and the coaching staff been going on in Philly?
I would say it dates back to 2023, but in different forms. You had a situation before where Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts had some tension coming off of that Super Bowl run that they had in 22. Now it's really more about the product on the field. A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, it's not like they were having drag-out fights in the locker room, but it was a lot of internalizing of conflict, according to the sources we spoke to. And Nick Sirianni actually did a pretty good job managing all of this, but it's just come to a head where the offense didn't have enough firepower around it. And in 24, it was so good with Saquon Barkley in the running game and the offensive line, you really didn't need a great passing attack. Well, now it was more on Jalen Hurts, and some of the warts showed a little bit. And the Eagles are trying to put the bottle back together and really just change things a little bit to help Hurts take the next step. Sources say he has been more open and receptive to some of those changes behind the scenes in recent months, so they are hoping for the best.
I mean, this incredible story coming out this morning, and there's so many things to unpack here. There's an explanation now for what we believe Super Bowl season, bad season, Super Bowl season, everything in between. What's your biggest takeaway from this story this morning?
I mean, it seems like they're clearly sending a message to Jalen Hurts. They want him to be their quarterback, but he's gonna have to do it their way. And they've made it clear to him and to us. I think the most significant thing is they made it clear to the public exactly what they want of him. And they are essentially saying that we weren't doing like the sophisticated offensive things like motioning and shifting and running the ball from under center, which isn't that sophisticated. They're essentially saying that we weren't doing them because Jalen didn't want to do that. So they've given us a checklist for this coming season to watch for. If they aren't doing these certain things, they're making it clear to us, it seems like by the reporting that Jeremy's done, they're making it clear to us that if they're not doing it, it's not because they don't want to, it's because Jalen doesn't want to. If they're running simple concepts like four verts in important situations, if they are, and they also put in there how he interacts with his teammates. I feel like I read it multiple times, and every time I read it, like I read a little bit more between the lines, what may be risky, but it felt more and more like they were letting Jalen know that he's going to have to do things the way that they want it done if he's going to be the quarterback going forward.
And especially with the timing of this, we were talking about this morning, one of the biggest topics this offseason has been A.J. Brown. Unhappy with the offense, unhappy with the team. And then this report comes out, Mike T. And you're saying, well, wait a second. The timing of this with the storylines that we've been covering now, the star receiver, and now the issues with the star quarterback. But you believe Jalen actually deserves the benefit of the doubt.
Absolutely, Matt. Last time I checked, he's been to 2 Super Bowls and won 1. There is countless teams in the NFL that would give anything for Jalen Hurts' bad days. With that said, there's no question he could get better. Last year as an offense, they only ran 15% of their plays were play-action passes, which was 22nd in the NFL. So clearly there's ways for this offense to evolve. But with that said, Matt, the other reason I would give him the benefit of the doubt is this is going to be his 7th season with his 6th offensive coordinator. It's hard to develop continuity and improve when there's so much change. So this is a hugely consequential offseason. Clearly, they need to do things better, as Neek and the article mentioned, from play action pass to motions and shifts. There's no doubt there's more layers to this offense where they can go. But to me, like, we have to start from a foundation that he's certainly accomplished a lot in the NFL.
And you want to come to his defense a bit as well, Kimberly.
Yeah, it just, every time I've talked for years to people about the Eagles, inside the building, outside the building, and I'm always struck that in Philly, it's always either our head coach and our quarterback, they're terrible, get rid of them, or everything's great because we're in a Super Bowl. Like, the pendulum there is just insane. Think about it. Yesterday, I literally was in Phoenix yesterday at the owners' meetings. Their owner, Jeff Lurie, was talking to reporters about Jalen Hurts. He was describing himself as one of the biggest Jalen Hurts defenders and saying, you know, he means everything. Like, he's so dedicated. And then this drops, and it clearly, it's depending on who you talk to, something is not right in Philly. And we have had that consistent conversation. I think when it comes to Jalen Hurts, the stats and the Super Bowl MVPs and all that is one thing. But if you're expecting him to be the traditional pocket passer, like a Joe Burrow, a Tom Brady, he's not that. But every quarterback has unique skill sets. And as a coach, as an OC, your job is to look at the talent you have and say, how do we maximize it? And every other team is tasked with the same thing. And the Eagles just seem to consistently change their coaching staff. And that has to have an effect on everything. You're talking about synergy. Everything has to be in alignment every year. I'm not absolving Jalen. Sure. I'm just saying there are a lot of variables in Philly.
And Fowler, look, time moves so fast. I want to get him in because he's doing the report. We'll get to you guys in a second. That when you look back at 2 years ago, the season prior to the Super Bowl, right? And they start brilliantly. And then there's that end of season collapse. And we're all sitting here thinking, well, what the hell's going on in Philly? And I think a number of us said, eventually we're going to find out what really led to this collapse. And then going into the Super Bowl season, the coach is on the hot seat. Everybody was on the hot seat, and then they go win the Super Bowl. So from your reporting, do you believe that you've found the cause and the root of what happened? I believe it was at 2023 that the end of season collapse.
Well, the root of the problem is it's not all on Jalen. There was a combination of factors here. The Eagles felt like their offense was not really fast last year as a whole. Like, they didn't look as explosive. The offensive line wasn't as good. So Saquon Barkley didn't have the same holes to run through. That just placed a lot more pressure on the quarterback, and his limitations have shown in that regard, where they feel like they need to evolve as an offense and that he has pushed back on some of those issues or those efforts to evolve. And so now it's like, despite the immense success and the Super Bowl winning and his obvious strengths, going on some of the coordinator changes they've had, it's not all on everybody else as well. Jalen does play a role in that. And so they're trying to really just diversify it and give him a chance to reset his career a little bit, which sounds crazy for somebody who's been to 2 Super Bowls, but that's sort of where they are.
Nick, quickly, do you think he's playing for his job this year? That was a big discussion this morning.
It depends on what they do.
I mean, it seems like they wouldn't come out with this. They've always...
Yeah, Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, they've always kind of defended him. This is the first time where it feels like they're putting him out there. And I think that the coaching staff would agree with Kimberly that he's not the traditional pocket passer, which is why they want to get him under center and they want to do play action boots. And the suggestion, or not suggestion, literally said in the article is like he wants to stand in shotgun. He doesn't want to turn his back to the defense. And those are the things that they're trying to do, the motions, the shift. Those are the things that they're trying to do to make it a little easier for him. But according to Jeremy's report, those are also the things that he refuses to do.
Yeah, and to me, I know we'll talk about A.J. Brown later, but, like, this is a consequential offseason. I would bring Jalen Hurts in with A.J. Brown and say, hey, it's in everyone's best interest for this to work out, and this is what you have the offseason program for. With Sean Mannion, put in these new sort of elements to their offense, and hopefully that'll play to A.J. Brown's strengths.
All right, we got to leave that there. Again, the article on ESPN.com will discuss this throughout the morning, including the A.J. Brown angle coming up. But first...